That's right. An adjective is a word that describes something. Let's go more into detail and find out what exactly it describes. Remember, I mentioned how we can have one big box and a lot of little boxes in that one big box, which is how we learn about things. We have one huge topic that breaks into smaller topics, and those smaller topics break into smaller topics, because the more you break something down, the easier it becomes to understand it and teach it. So we have adjectives. What are adjectives? An adjective is a word that tells you about a noun. An adjective is a word that tells you about a noun. So what is an adjective? An adjective is a describing word but it doesn't just describe anything. It's called an adjective because it describes a noun, which is the name of a person, place, or thing. So anything that is describing a person, place, or thing is an adjective, right? Let's carry on. Now we're breaking it down into what or how adjectives can describe a noun. Some adjectives answer the question, what kind, okay? So remember, when we're talking about adjectives, we're asking what, right? The dog was so fat. Fat is a descriptive word. We're describing how big or the look of the dog, right? So sometimes adjectives can answer the question, what kind? For example, the small baby smiled. What kind? The baby is small. So do you see how this is still a descriptive word, so a describing word? However, it's telling us what kind. The small baby smiled. The heavy books. Heavy being our adjective, telling us what kind. What are the books? They are heavy. And our noun is baby. So what kind? The baby is small. All right, let's carry on. Some adjectives answer the question, how many? Some adjectives answer the question, how many? Sorry. How many? So you get describing words that gives you a figure, so a rough estimate of how many. For example, one baby smiled. How many? One baby smiled. She carried some books. So you see, here's our noun in sentence 1. So the noun is still being described as adjectives are describing words, and they're describing that there's only one baby. How many? In our second sentence, she carried some books. Some is referring to the noun, so it's an adjective because it's describing the noun. So anything that gives you more information about a noun is an adjective. So our noun in the situation is, in the sentence, is books, and some is how many. Not a specific number, however, but they are telling us some, which is a description to the books. One being description to the baby. And look, if you don't understand it, there are lots of activities that we will be doing on this exact same topic to keep you afloat and understanding. So let's just go over it one more time. So an adjective is a word that tells you about a noun, so a describing word. It describes a person, place, or thing, right? So an adjective describes a noun, which is a person, place, or thing. So an adjective is basically describing person, places, or things. people, places, or things. Some adjectives answer the question what kind. So the small baby, the heavy books. Okay, books being our noun, our thing, and heavy being our adjective. Okay, it's describing, but it's telling us what kind. Then we have some adjectives answer the question how many. One baby smiled. She carried some books. Does that make sense? So we're not necessarily having other boxes for adjectives, but we're just trying to understand that there can be more information given to us about a noun other than the obvious, which would be heavy, or a color like black, the black dog, the heavy book, the small baby. We can stretch it on to even know how many. Some people like to eat cake. Some, the people being the noun, some being our adjective. Awesome, guys. So thank you guys so much for joining me on this lesson about adjectives. If you don't understand, remember you always have the option to rewind, as well as we go into activities where I further and further explain adjectives. See you guys again next time. Bye.